Hey, it's Holly. In today's video, we are going to be finishing up that project, and I know we have been working on it for a long time, but we are finally finishing it up today, I promise, and I'm really looking forward to seeing the end result. So without further ado, let's get started. Here I'm just showing you the tinned copper wire that I have. So this is a copper wire that's treated so that you can easily add it to something as you're soldering. So I just use a metal straw and I wrap the wire around it to get that shape. I also use the help of some pliers while I'm doing that. And here I'm just trying my hardest to get this soldered into place. And when you're adding a hook to something, it typically, for stability, needs to be an existing solder line, so like where two pieces of glass meet. So that's why I chose that spot. Fortunately, it does happen to be directly at the top center of the piece, so it looks good, but sometimes the location may not be great, and in those cases I would put the hooks, more than one hook on, and put them on the side, then hang it on a chain. But here I'm lucky I can just put one right on the top and it's in the right spot. So now that we've got the hook in place, really my job here is to just finish cleaning up the solder lines, because I just added more solder and melted a bunch of other parts too. So now that the soldering's done, we are off to give her a bath, and I'm using blue Liquid Dawn dish soap, and this is to get excess oil off the project, excess flux, which was that liquid we were using when we were soldering. It just cleans up all the glass, and we want to do this, one, so that it looks nice, but two, so that we can start to get this prepared to put a patina on it. So the patina is a stain that's going to change the color of the solder and the lead came, that flexible metal border that I put on. I like to stain my projects black with black patina just because I think it looks nice. Some people like to leave it silver. Another option is a copper patina to make it copper colored, which also looks really sharp. I currently have foil that matches silver and black, and I like to use the black one. Just again, I think it looks really sharp. So to get this ready, we have to get all of the excess residue off, but it's also important that I don't get my finger oil on it. So I have to also keep my hands nice and clean with that dish soap. If there's any oil on the project, basically you'll get really splotchy results. So once I have this mostly cleaned up, I also wash my hands with soap just to be extra sure that I haven't transferred any oil onto the project. So I got that all dried up, and now I'm taking steel wool. It is a 000 steel wool, so it's a very fine steel wool that won't scratch the glass or anything, but it's polishing those solder lines, and by polishing them we're going to be able to adhere the patina properly. So you have to kind of rough it all up, but it also takes out some of the imperfections, and this is an important part of the process. So this takes a little bit, but once it's all polished up, then we're gonna have to go back to the sink. And here we are washing again, so now I'm just getting all of that excess steel wool residue off. And once this is all cleaned up and dry, then we're going to be able to put on the patina, which is a really fun but also dangerous part of the process. Alright, you'll see I'm wearing gloves, and that's because, as the bottle implies, this is poison. It can cause burns. It's really not something you want to get on your skin. Also, I don't want to transfer my finger oil onto the project, so we are wearing gloves for that reason too. So I'm just putting a little bit of this into a container, and we just need a little bit. I'm going to be using a different toothbrush here to apply the patina just because I want one that is not otherwise contaminated with anything other than patina. So I have another children's toothbrush here. And basically, as soon as this chemical makes contact, you can see it just changes the color. So it causes a chemical reaction, and that is now black. It's kind of like a brownish black, and it's not totally a pure black. There are other ways to do that. Some people spray paint the solder. Some people use something called gun blue, or I don't know. Anyway, it's for literally for guns, but that's not what we're using. So that is the process. So this is just going to go over the entire piece and change the color. Just wiping off the excess patina here, and here is what she looks like. So as you can imagine, back to the sink we go, and this time we are getting the patina residue off, and she's having her final wash. So yes, there's lots of rinsing of the project, but it is important that you're doing proper prep and also, you know, not exposing yourself unnecessarily to chemicals. So we do want to rinse it as we go. But this is the final part of the process. Some people put wax on top at this stage. I'm not doing that just because we've got so much going on here with the enamel and everything that I just don't want to take my chances. But she's got her final wash, and now we are going to add a chain. So I felt like I wanted something in between her and this suction cup. And I'm not sure that I want to use a suction cup. So I just wanted to lengthen the attachment to her. So what I'm doing is I'm adding a chain. Please bear with all of my chip nail polish here. But I'm adding a chain. So I bought this chain from a stained glass supply store. Of course, you could use whatever. And I'm just breaking open a link so that we can add a section on, and then I am going to struggle to put this back together. And there we are. So we've got the chain on, and now she can hang like that, and she looks pretty darn great. It really ties in well with the black patina, just showing you in a few different lights here, and then I have a still photo in a second just so you can get the full effect. But that's our finished piece, and I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. Well, we did it. Here it is in all of its glory. I am really, really excited about how this turned out. I think it just looks absolutely amazing. A few things that I would change moving forward. One is that the enamel, so we did have to bake it on, right? So it has to be done before the soldering in this case, because I wouldn't be able to put this, especially with the lead came around the outside, the border. It's really soft. I wouldn't be able to put that in the oven. So we did have to do it first, but when I soldered and when we did the patina, so that stain, unfortunately, like it did kind of stain the seashell top of it. So it wrecked the finish a little bit. The rest of it turned out fine, but the only way I could really fix that at this point is if I were to paint over it like with acrylic or more enamel and let it air cure. So I guess not all is lost, but for that to air cure, it's like 21 days. So I did prefer to do it ahead of time, but that's kind of part of the downside. That did not happen at all in the face. Like that was totally fine. And I think the reason we had issues here is because it was so close to where I was soldering. Whereas in the face, none of those lines were directly adjacent to the solder. So I was able to, there we go, I was able to have those just completely work without issue. Glad we added this on the back. That was definitely going to be a challenge. It does feel stable now that the solder's, you know, fully hardened and everything's there, but I could tell that if this were to fall, that would probably be the first thing to break if we hadn't stabilized it with a wire. So happy with that. And we've got the chain that we've put on there, and then you could hang it. So personally, I know I showed it with a suction cup, but I would probably not use a suction cup just because they tend to fall off. I can't tell you the number of stained glass pieces I have that have fallen off windows, not that I've made, but just other ones previously that I've owned. And while they didn't always break, they definitely can break and still stay inside the piece, but have a crack in the glass. But it's just scary every time it happens. And I just don't want to put myself through the heartache of that if it's something that I've taken the time to make myself. So I personally like to put a chain on them so they can be hung up on a wall somewhere or otherwise affixed to something and dangle. But I think she turned out great, and I'm really proud of this project. I've just got fingerprints all over her now, but she's beautiful. So let me know your thoughts on this project. It was a fairly simple one, but at the same time, there were challenges that came up that we had to solve, so it wasn't super simple either. But it was a fun project. I had a good time doing that. So what do you think? What should I do next time we do a stained glass? Should I do the Poly Mermaid or should I do something else? And if it's something else, what would you pick? I will say doing an open compact would be quite difficult because there would be probably too many pieces inside, and that would be just really, really challenging. And to get that level of detail, you'd almost have to make it really big. But closed compact, another figure, like what would your ideal Polly Pocket stained glass be? I would love to know. Yeah, that's really all I have to say about that. I can't think of anything else. But I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments as always. Speaking of comments, please like the video, please leave a comment. All of that stuff is super helpful and it helps out the channel. And if you haven't yet, please hit the subscribe button. That's the easiest way to support the channel. It's free and I bring out videos every Monday and Thursday. I'm also on social media. If you want to come follow along, just look up Pocket Vintage Toys. You'll find me on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. That's the best place to connect with me outside of YouTube. But that's it for me for today. So I hope everyone has a great weekend. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.